Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Kristin Schell, your host. Each week, I interview a business owner or author, and we chat about building businesses. And we talk about working as a boss and learning how to work through the struggles and the successes that come with it all. We share our best tools and our best practices with you. And we also discuss topics that we can all relate to, such as work-life balance, living with intention, and dreaming big. So sit back and relax, grab some wine or some coffee or water, and listen to these women share how they are rising. And I want to make sure that you are connected to Rising Stories Podcast. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button on iTunes to get the latest episodes. Also, the best and fastest way to connect with me is on Instagram or Twitter. If you have a question, go to Twitter and find me at Kristin Schell and let me know what you like and what you don't like about the show. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can also find me on Instagram at Kristin Schell, and I love to do Insta stories. So make sure you're following me and catch some of those stories. Do you love your neighbors? Would you like to be in community with them? If so, would you sit outside on your front yard and wait for one of them to join you? My guest today on episode 73 did just that. She is the author of The Turquoise Table. Kristin Schell shares her story about how she put a turquoise picnic table out on her front yard and waited for people to show up. Kristin is a blogger and a mom of 4, and now she is an author of a book that is impacting lives all across the country. Listen as Kristin takes us from the beginnings to now helping people find community and connection right in their own front yards. But before we begin, I want to make sure you stay tuned to the end to hear about a special offer. Kristin is from Austin, so of course I asked her about her favorite place to eat. Listen to what she recommends. Here is my conversation with Kristin Schell. Hi, Kristin.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Welcome to Rising Stories Podcast.
Well, I am delighted to be here. Thank you.
I am so excited because I got a copy of your book. Thank you so much for sending that. It is the best book. I just love it. It's so eye candy-ish, and it's full of things that if I were writing a book, it would be so similar. It would be so similar.
Oh.
I love it.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
And so you are the author of The Turquoise Table, Finding Community and Connection in Your Own Front Yard. I just love this title.
Yes.
Tell me, what's the story behind this book? And tell everyone, like, what's in it? Because there are recipes and kind of like a lot of call to actions, I feel like.
Well, really, it didn't start with the idea of a book. It actually started with me putting a picnic table, an ordinary wooden picnic table that I painted turquoise because that's my favorite color, in my front yard, really on a whim and as a hypothesis. I was finding it hard to connect with neighbors and to slow down in this busy, kind of crazy, frenzied lifestyle that we're all living. And I was longing for something simple and an easy way to bring people together. And so I put this turquoise picnic table in my front yard and started inviting people to come hang out and do life together. And it worked.
Wow, like literally just in your front yard.
Yes, literally smack dab in the front yard, which is a little weird, but I'm in Austin, Austin, Texas, which our motto is keep Austin weird. So I figured I could get away with it here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so did you invite your neighbors and say, hey, that table in front of my yard, why don't you come over?
Yes. Well, it started even more subtly than that. So I put the table in my front yard, and then, as soon as it was painted and it was settled in its place, I thought, well, I better go out there, right? I've put this table in my front yard. I need to use it. So I took my journal and, all sorts of my computer and all kinds of things because I wanted to look busy because it was a little awkward going out to sit at the picnic table in my front yard. But I was only out there about 5 minutes when someone, a neighbor, I had never ever even seen her before, walked by, and we started just this incredible conversation. And, 4 years later, I can't imagine not knowing Susan. So early on, the very first time I sat out there, there was encouragement to keep going. And then, yes, I thought maybe this, might work. I started inviting people over just for coffee and after work, and it became a thing.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds so simple, but so like powerful at the same time, because if I were Susan walking down, I would be like, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? Hey, I mean, I would be, it would be an invitation for anyone to stop.
It does. It is. People are curious, because it's not every day you see a turquoise picnic table in someone's yard. And so that's exactly what happened. And she was curious and said, "Oh, I like your table. Tell me more." And so it just invited an immediate conversation.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's more about that in the book. But what if there's someone out there, like I'm thinking about Austin, and of course I'm in Nashville. And in my neighborhood, like it's different. Like I have larger yard. Like I think my community, like you have to have an acre, so it's a bigger yard. But I'm thinking I could put it close to the road, even,
Yeah.
So because it's a ways from my house to the street, but I can. So like you can adapt it to anything. If you lived like in a condo or, it doesn't matter where it just put something out there that's inviting, a chair and a small table, right?
Absolutely. And, when I put my table out front, I never dreamed that there would be a book or that there would be turquoise tables in all 50 states. And so I'm learning as I go, but the creativity of people is astounding because, like you said, what works in Nashville or Minnesota or California, might not work in Texas or New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. And so people are adapting these for climates and for seasons and for, like you said, different kind of dwellings, condominiums or apartments or ranches or, suburban neighborhoods. And it's astonishing to see what people are doing with turquoise tables.
So, Kristin, take me from the time that you had the table out in the front yard and things started happening. Walk me through till you decided, hey, this is a book. And when you did that, did you have everything ready for the book?
It was so serendipitous, and God had really, sort of paved the way. It started as a ministry for me. And so this was, my way of living out sort of the great commandments of, learning to love my neighbors. And so that was really all I was planning on doing. Right. And so I put the table out and I was thinking, maybe 2 or 3 blocks, of first of all, our street and cul-de-sac, and then maybe, a few other streets around might engage in the concept of the turquoise table. And so what I didn't expect was that other people would want to adopt it for their neighborhoods as well. And of course, I was delighted, but I was also shocked and not really prepared when I started getting texts or phone calls or emails from people saying, can I put a turquoise table in my front yard too? And so that, my sister-in-law was, I think, a neighbor down the street put one in their front yard. And then my sister-in-law in San Antonio, Texas, put one in her yard. And then, really about 3 months in, from the time I put my table in, things were starting to pick up at a pretty, steady clip of people emailing or wanting to know more about it. So early on, I kind of thought, well, maybe this could be a thing. And so I was already a blogger and had a small online platform, but I started sharing what we were doing at our turquoise table in our front yard and tips and ideas for hospitality and gathering in a simple way with others. And I guess about a year into it, I was speaking. I was invited to speak at a conference, and when I spoke at that conference, women came from all over the United States, and so that's really when, it really began to get momentum. And there were some agents at that conference who said, "This is a book. This is a book idea."
Wow.
Okay, it is.
Yeah. That's like it just kind of landed in your lap because you were just doing life.
I was just doing life.
You were just doing life, and you were doing you, which you were, like you said, you were already a blogger, and you probably already had all of that content because you had blogged. And then, gosh, this just landed in your lap, really. But at the same time, you have done everything. You have lived it, and I think that's the key when people think, I want to write a book. What should I write about? Well, what are you doing? What is it that, what's your life look like? And so your snapshot of your life was the Turquoise Table.
Right. It's interesting because when I had that first feedback at that conference, the table was about a year old, or I had, been about a year. And I thought, oh, this is really awesome. But I went home, from that conference thinking, oh my gracious, now I have to write a book. And it was daunting and overwhelming. And I had never written a book before, so I didn't know what to do. And I struggled. I really did, because and now looking back, I was rushing the process and I hadn't lived enough. I'd only gone through one season really with the table, but it was really the next year that I had the stories and the sort of wisdom makes me sound like I'm wise, which I'm not, but the table wisdom to write it. So it was 2 years in that I felt this peace, and that I knew that the timing was right, and that I had something to say to be encouraging and to help others. And so that's when I really, it took a year before I earnestly started writing the book.
Wow. And I think people don't realize that just the process of writing a book and just all of the little deadlines, big deadlines, things that kind of go slow, things that go faster. And it does. Yeah. A year sounds like a long time, but it is a process. What surprised you the most about this whole thing that you are now in, the Turquoise Table groups that you're speaking to, and the book, and what you're doing now and speaking? What was the big surprise? Like, oh gosh, I didn't realize this entailed this,
Oh, every day there's a new surprise. And I'm learning as I go. Like I said, this just started as truly a simple way to get to know neighbors in my front yard. And so there's that level, of just maintaining, the table and enjoying the friendships and the relationships that I have in my own front yard. But now I've become, the holder of stories and sort of the spokesperson, if you will, for this thing called the Turquoise Table. And it's evolved over the last 4 years, but I never envisioned that this would really become not only a full-time ministry, but really an entrepreneurial business. I'm having to learn. Oh my gracious, every day I learn something new. Just from record keeping and books and taxes and filing for an LLC, to scheduling speaking and having to get speaking contracts. And oh my gracious, how does that work? When the obligations for that, and managing the publishing relationship. And we've been so fortunate now. We have a merchandise line with Tuesday Morning, the retail company. And so I've never had a product line before. I don't know about licensing agreements and product line. And so all of these things, sometimes my office is literally a desk in my kitchen, and I sit here and I think, I'm just a girl with a table. What am I doing talking on a podcast? And
right.
What am I, trying to figure out licensing agreements? It's a delight and a joy.
Yeah, what a blessing.
But it is. But it's a learning curve. It is definitely.
And I don't think people know, just how much of the back end things that you have to do, like all the things you just named. I'm like, I'm exhausted now. I'm thinking, be careful what you wish for, right? but what a great thing.
Yeah. It is great, but it is, I joke with my husband, and he's in the venture world, and so this is very much his language, and so thank goodness, I have a sounding board in him to say, okay, what does this mean, and so I don't look like a complete idiot half the time, but it's been such a blessing, to at this stage in kind of our lives. To be able to go to work and to have a full-time job at this point in my life.
And doing what you love, which is talking to people, getting to know them, that whole hospitality heart of yours that comes out in the book is able to come out wherever you are when you're speaking and when you're meeting these people and spurning them on to do what you've done, because that's how we're going to reach the world, really.
Absolutely. And it all goes back to that message of, just getting to know one another and community. And so to be able to, whatever, whether it's speaking or spending time, visiting today on a podcast or signing books or whatever it is, it's, the encouragement and the reason behind it is always to hope that people will do the same.
Yeah. So tell me, can you sneak peek, tell us what you're doing with Tuesday Morning?
Yes. No, we just released the first collection, and it came out in July of this year. And it's tabletop, easy breezy, simple, inexpensive plates and platters and cups and things that you can take out to the table to make life easier. And it was amazing to be able to partner with them and learn about merchandising, and it's just a whole nother world, as you can imagine. But that came out. They're in stores now. The collection is, and there'll be another one released next spring.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. That sounds really up my alley. I love the color. Love turquoise. The book is so beautiful. Everyone has to go out and get it because it's something that you want on your coffee table too. You just want to look at it. It's so beautiful. And I love the color, and I just want to put it up on my wall. I'll just frame it and put it up on my wall after I read it. So it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Well, tell me, Kristin, what, this is a business podcast. So I'm like, what is your favorite app with all the things that you're learning and doing with this new adventure and journey? What's your favorite app on your phone?
Well, I have two, and one is, and I don't know if they're regional or whatnot, but it's a grocery store delivery service app, and it's called Shipt, Shipt. Oh my goodness. Because right now, that is just a lifesaver. We have 4 children, and we have 3 in high school and then a 5th grader. And so, when you write recipes for a living and when you offer hospitality for a living, guess what? You still need to offer dinner to your family. And so, this app has become a lifesaver. And so I get groceries delivered now via Shipt. So that's truly one of my favorite. And then I have started using a list, app. It's called Wunderlist. And it is just this list app that, because I can no longer remember all the things that I need to do. And so that really helps me with scheduling and keeping track of all my deadlines. And it's just a simple freebie.
I've heard of that. And I wanted to ask you a quick question about Shipt. So is it something like, I won't name which ones I use, but I use one that I just go to it when I remember what I need to get and just kind of keep a running list. And then on the day that I normally do my grocery list, I send it off, and then I pick it up. I do a pickup thing. And do you continue to add to it, or do you sit down one night and just go, here's my grocery list. Here are my recipes.
I do a little of both. And so this is one, I keep it active, but it saves all your old lists. And so I have one called a Sunday list. And so then, I can go in, and so that on Sunday, when it delivers it to my house too. And so I don't even have to go to the store, which is right now just such a gift. And then what I do is, because I write recipes and I blog recipes all the time. What I can do is go in and then just enter those recipes and store them there, so that, let's say if I want to make homemade granola and I realize, oops, I'm out of oatmeal, I can just look on that app and it'll pull up all the things I need for that. And then I click yes and schedule it. I need it by 4 p.m. and it shows up.
Awesome. And does it go from different grocery stores? It'll take from any?
Yes.
That's nice.
So not all of them yet in Austin, but the ones I use. And so that has just been a lifesaver. I don't know, just for what I do, and people say, well, does it cost more money? And I'm like, you know what? I think it saves money because I am an impulse buyer. And so if there's no way to impulse buy if you're not actually doing the shopping. So
that's exactly what I thought when I started doing that is I'm saving time, which time is money in this world, and gas, really, because sometimes if I don't go to one grocery store, I go to another or whatever, and just everything is right there. And then you just pick it up, and you're not buying all of the things that they're on the end cap that are enticing. So
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But that has helped tremendously as sort of a new entrepreneur. I mean, time management with raising a family and then this venture is, that's what I'm learning. So little things like that make a huge difference.
Yeah. Real quick, what was the best business advice someone gave you?
Oh, goodness. I've been given so much lately that I feel, honestly, it's from my husband, and he, and I can't remember his words, exactly, but he always encourages me. He's like, remember that your no's are going to be just as important as your yeses, because I'm one of those that, I want to please and I want to say yes, and it's all exciting. And he has really kind of come alongside me and helps me to realize that a good business is built just as much on the wise, no's or saying no to things as it is the yeses. And that's been great advice, because that's not my intuition.
That's really good advice. Yeah, because it's important to know what you're doing and finding what's going to work for you and what isn't going to work for you. And, working in that sweet spot of what are your gifts and talents. So those, the no's are the ones where you're not, where it's going to be harder for you, I guess, or harder for us to do. And so we don't, we should say no to those things. It's hard though, because I'm a yes type of person too. I'm like,
that's very hard.
So, yeah. Well, tell me what are your 3 favorite things that you're loving these days?
Okay. Well, we are full on back to school mode right now. And so, like I said, with high schoolers and then our youngest, a 5th grader, I love getting organized, getting back to school. And so, the new calendars, all the new, kind of planners and folders. So maybe it's a psychological thing though. I think when that comes around September 1st timeframe or back to school timeframe. So I'm loving all the school supplies and pretending I'm going to be organized this year.
Calendars are my favorite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me too.
I usually buy like 2 or 3 and only use like maybe 1, but I just love getting those things.
That's exactly what I'm doing. So, it's like, okay, do not go, I have to stay focused today, but it's so tempting to want to go get all the new things for school.
Yeah. What else?
Let me think. Oh my goodness. I can't even think right now.
I'm foods that you love.
Oh, whatever we're making next. I'm such an experimenter in the kitchen. And so what I love to do for back to school is make homemade granola and then give it to the teachers and to all of our neighbors. I delivered little packages this weekend just to say good luck getting, back into the groove of things. And so that's been one of my favorite things. So I've been in the kitchen a lot this week making granola. And that to me is just...
I love to make granola. It is therapy, yeah. I love to make granola. I've been making it. I made it a while back, and now I've started back to making it. My son runs cross country, and it's a great, energy type thing. This year, I actually added dates because he doesn't like raisins.
Yum.
So I kind of break up. I think it's dates, or maybe it's
No,
they're
that's the
dates.
sweet. That'll give it the sweetness. Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
just
a
kind of
great
cut up
tip.
dates. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, anything else?
Well, I just got three little. So we have three daughters and one son, and so one of my other favorite things that just came in the mail are the new devotionals, the new journal devotional for teenagers from Sophie Hudson, and so Sophie has just come out with. It's called All in All, and so I gave each of the girls a copy of her devotional for them to start the school year off. So I'm very much in school mode, and then for our son. There's one, it's #truth, and it's 365 devotions for teens. And so I got that one for him. So truly, you caught me in a very back to school homemade granola devotionals and school supplies.
I love it. So real quick, what's your favorite restaurant in Austin? I usually...
Oh my goodness, there's a new one and it is so yummy. It's called Tiny Boxwoods. And it's only been open a couple months, and it is just absolutely delicious. Tiny Boxwoods, my new favorite.
What kind of food do they serve?
It is
just kind of a mix?
New American. Yes, it's New American. It's very trendy. They've got the roasted kind of curried cauliflower and, of course, Brussels sprouts. Did we ever think Brussels sprouts would be like back in vogue?
No. Isn't that wild? But everybody loves them. I love it.
Everybody loves them.
Because they're my favorite.
Exactly. So it's the whole restaurant is just real bright and airy and lots of glass, and it's just a happy place.
Well, I'll have to take you there next time I'm in Austin. I don't go very often, but I'm a Texas girl, so I'll be back at some point. I'd love to visit. So I'll look you up. We'll go to Tiny Boxwoods.
Come to the Turquoise Table first.
That's true. I would love to do that. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and enjoyed talking with you, and love the book. I just can't say enough how much I enjoy. It's just totally me, and I don't say that to every author because I just love it. It's awesome. So everyone needs to go out and check it out.
Well, thank you for that encouragement. I really appreciate it.
What a brave soul to step out of her comfort zone, not only to put a turquoise table in her front yard, but in writing this book also. Y'all, she is so inspiring. Her book, like I mentioned in the show, is a must read. And now for the big special offer. Kristin is giving away a copy of her book, The Turquoise Table, to one lucky listener. The contest is taking place over on Instagram. That's all the information will be over there. But if you do not have an Instagram account and you want to enter this contest, then go ahead and go to KarineSandifer.com, sign up for the newsletter, and also shoot me an email to let me know who you are and that you signed up for that newsletter. You can email me at info@KarineSandifer.com. So do both of those things and you will be entered to win. But for those of you who have Instagram accounts, find me at Karine Sandifer to find the information on how to enter this giveaway. This giveaway is open to anyone over 18, and you have to be in the North American area to receive the book. As always, if you missed something that you wanted to jot down from this episode, no worries, because I have added a whole lot to the iTunes description on the app, and it's also on my show notes at KarineSandifer.com. Please consider supporting Rising Stories podcast by purchasing books and products mentioned on the show with the link provided in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and keep rising in your story.